Hey everyone, it is July 1st, 2020. Welcome to the Topherspin Meteorite Crew Hangout. We got a lot of people here with us today, a bunch of the usual suspects, but the special guest speaker for tonight is me. I'm going to do a little presentation that I call the 5 S's of Meteorite Valuation. And I'm going to start my screen share and see if this doesn't work. And share. Can you guys see that?
I have a black screen.
Okay. Does it have a line on it? Oh.
There's a line on the left.
Vertical.
Oh, okay, awesome. I wonder if I can get me on there. Hold on. Show notes. Nope.
You'd have to move your screen over to the screen that you're screen sharing.
Well, this is the presentation right here.
Right.
I'd love to have me visible right here. Do you guys?
Okay.
Well, tell you what. Let's just jump into it.
We can see you.
Oh, you can.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're
Yeah, we
one
can
of
see.
those Zoom
Oh,
boxes.
good. Okay, I have a different screen than you guys, obviously.
Oh,
Thanks.
I thought you meant full screen, but yeah, we can see you.
No, awesome, good. All right, well, like I said, this is the 5 S's of Meteorite Valuation by me. It's just my opinions, okay? The inspiration for this was the world of diamonds and gemstones. In the world of diamonds and gemstones, if you guys are married, you know, you go out and buy your engagement ring or your wedding ring, and you have a choice of diamonds. And when you talk to the guy behind the counter, they're going to talk about the 5 C's. It used to be 4 C's, but I did a little bit of research getting ready for this, and they now have 5, which is so cool because their 5th one that they added actually mirrors a 5 that I put on mine. So I think they copied me. The first C is carat size. It's pretty obvious. You got a huge diamond, you got a huge paycheck. The second C, in regards to the value of a diamond when you go to purchase it or sell it, is the color. Obviously, there's a grading scale of colors they use, much like meteorite have classifications. Then there's the cut of the diamond. This is acquired by basically analyzing the gemstone, finding out where its natural cut line should be, where the inclusions are going to be, much like the meteorite world. Next is clarity. And all of these cuts increase the value because there's more man hours involved. Then they have the 4C is clarity. How clear is the diamond? How many inclusions are in there? They don't like inclusions, but you know us guys, love the meteorite inclusions. So their 5th C that they added, because it used to be color, carat, cut, clarity. Now they have confidence, which I think is really important. And I put up here Harry Winston. Everyone knows that Harry Winston is the jeweler to the stars. Everyone, when they go to the Oscars or whatever, wears Harry Winston. So now we're going to get that exact thing, and I transposed it into my world. So meteorites.
Topher, what does confidence mean?
The confidence, basically, if you are trying to sell or acquire a diamond and you walk into Harry Winston's on Rodeo Drive versus buying it out of the back of a van in an alley with spray painted jewelry misspelled, how much confidence do you have in those sellers when you compare them?
I thought it might be C for creative, because these days they're creating more diamonds than they're finding.
And that's another thing that's out there too. People have tried to create meteorites. So
That's true.
So the confidence you have in the source, that's basically their confidence would be their source. How confident are you in what you're getting? And again, another thing that adds value to diamonds are blood-free diamond or conflict-free diamonds. So I'm just ad hocing right now. The blood-free diamonds and the battle-free, or whatever they call them, free, that adds to the value of the diamond. Well, if you're going to spend extra money for that, how much confidence do you have that that's what you're actually getting? So when you cross that over into the world of meteorites, I have 5 S's. The first one, science. Basically, the study of meteorites. It's an analysis and classification based on their geochemistry. And geochemistry is a science that uses tools and principles to explain the mechanisms behind the geological systems. Now, these geological systems affect the Earth's crust, the Earth's oceans, and not just the Earth, but are carried out throughout the cosmos. And as my notes say here, that it extends outward beyond the Earth, encompassing the entire solar system. So next is through the study of the science of exactly what is in the meteorite. We analyze it, we classify it, we take oxygen isotopes, we do thin sections, not we, but the Meteorite Society. And what we're hoping to do is gain a better understanding about the formation of our universe, because meteorites, especially chondrites and L-chondrites, the more primitive, they have the grains of minerals and sand and silicates that are the composition of the solar system. And by studying the complexity of the geochemistry, we're able to unlock features and secrets of the universe. One that springs to mind is Murchison. Murchison is flying up in price right now. Murchison is really, really cool. It has been proven to contain 86 amino acids so far, and it's still being studied. Humans only contain 22. Panspermia, anyone? The next one that comes to mind as far as recent scientific discoveries of the geochemistry is NWA 801. And that's famous for what, everyone? Wow, you're probably on mute. But it is famous now for finding sugars. They found ribose and other, they call them bioessential sugars. The reason that they're bioessential is they're needed for RNA. And RNA can make copies of itself with help from other molecules. And it also is used to initiate and speed up the chemical reactions. And it works as a catalyst, basically. So the new work gives some evidence and supports the possibility that the RNA coordinated within the machinery of making DNA and therefore life. So another cool example of science. I don't know why I'm echoing. Okay. Sorry about that. Science is basically breaking down the chemistry of meteorites and teaching us more about the universe and about our very beginnings itself. And it's super simple, guys. I mean, if you don't understand and know that chart by heart by now, like, I don't know what we're doing here. As you can see, the meteorites are, and I'm not going to go through the entire chart, but this is basically the breakdown chart of all meteorites. We have the chondrites here in white. Now the stonies, I'm sorry, the chondrites break down, I guess they didn't, I guess they did, yeah. But within the chondrites, we have ordinary chondrites, which is most of what we're going to be looking at day in and day out, the H and LL and A chondrites. But they also have the carbonaceous clans as well. And then they're broken down into groups. So you have all your type groups down here. Primitive achondrites, where you have eucrites, brachyites, lodenites, winonites. We got all kinds breaking down here, even lunar and Mars. So it's super simple. But that's the first S of meteorite valuation is, what do we have? What is it? Is it an H, an L? Is it moon? Is it Mars? The next one is size. Yes, size does matter. So when you have a large meteorite, you have a lot of value, right? Sometimes. Sometimes lower total known weights and the obstacles to acquire that meteorite and that material drive up the price. The available material that is snatched up by universities also lessens or drives up the demand and pricing and valuation. How much is that to museums? How much is available to researchers and collectors is all defined by the total known weight. And here's some examples to talk about total known weight. Let's consider NWA 861 or 869. I'm sorry, 869. There's tons of it, literally tons. I'm not joking. You go to Tucson, and now not all of this is 869, but this is just an example. You can go in and buy tonnage of this stuff. It was sold by the wheelbarrow back in the day, versus Tissant. Now, this is a photo supplied by John Higgins of Outer Space Rocks. He actually went to Morocco and hunted Tissant and collected it too. Here they are on the ground. They're not picking up boulders, people. They're picking up down to sub-gram fragments, whatever they can find, because Tissant, it's about $1,000 a gram.
Wow.
And NWA 869, 50, 60 cents a gram, 80 cents a gram, depends how much you buy. What about Zhob? That's the brand new one out of Pakistan. Now, that is a cool example of total known weight not being available. The two, my understanding at this time, the two main masses were seized on their way out of Pakistan to the US. They are no longer available. They are owned by the Pakistani government. You will not see them. They're not going to be on display. They're not going to be available. They're not going to be outside of them. You might as well say it never happened. So the total known weight there is going to be influenced by the ability to acquire it. So I actually have a piece of Zhob. I got it, and there's really not a whole lot of it, unless those main masses get released, which I don't see happening. So that's another example of an S, the size going into the value. Before we go on to the third S, if anyone wants to unmute and ask any questions, I'm going to take a sip.
I do have a comment.
Go for it. Yeah, comments are welcome as well.
Total known weight, as we find it in the meteoritical bulletin, is a snapshot in time of total known weight of one specific classification. However, many meteorites, like 869, are classified under many different numbers, even including Sahara 02500. That's also 869. And oftentimes more is found later. And so total known weight is very important, but it's not necessarily just go to the Mbale and look it up.
Yes.
That's a snapshot in time.
That is correct. Thank you, Pat Brown. It's very true. In fact, if you stay on for the entire hangout today, I will show you an example where that is definitely not true, because I have something here that is bigger than it could be according to the Mbale. So more for that later. But and that is exactly correct. Total known weight does influence a collector's decisions to purchase. I'll give you an example. There is a beautiful howardite, NWA 12227. It's beautiful. I went to the Mbale, and I didn't do it intelligently. That's why I'm telling you the story, so you can learn from me. Went to the Mbale, I found out how much there was. Then I knew who the main mass holder was. I tracked down every slice, every end cut, every fragment that person had sold. And I knew how much there was. Adding that to the known donation to the lab, to the university, and then adding this end cut that I wanted to buy, I was within 7 grams of the total known published weight. So I bought it. I now have the main mass. No, the guy had 2 more kilos behind him. Just wasn't reported to the Met Ball. So that's an example where I put a value on a meteorite that was based on size, available size, total known weight. Had I had good information, that would have been a good decision. It wasn't a great decision. I a little overpaid for it, but it's still beautiful. So that's one example of the valuation of meteorite being determined by size and available total known weight. The next S, and this is the slide to have fun with. Surface features. Oh yes, this is what we get into it for. I mean, we're talking about everything. When you read a post, when people put up a post on a meteorite, chondrite for sale. No, it's beautifully regmaglyphed. It has orientations. Look at the fusion crust covering it and lipping over the edge, and it's glossy and bubbly. And look at these contraction cracks. And oh man, you slice it and you see melt inside. Look at, and John Mixter's, I mean, look at this odd inclusion. That's all going to affect the value of the meteorite. And remember, when I'm talking value, I'm trying not to say price or cost. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the value of the meteorite. You can change it to cost and price later on in your own head. But we're talking about what's valuable in a meteorite. If it has all those features, those surface features on it, we're really drawn to it. We really want it. But if it also has a bunch of water damage, how drawn are you to it? When you see a piece of Seracho and it has white and green crystals on the outside, what does that tell you about the inside? Well, I know, and that's a secret, but it tells you it's water damaged. It's been sitting in water for way too long, and you better not cut it open because you've opened up a grenade. It's gonna fall apart. So these are what we're talking about, regmaglyphs. And we're also talking about how it's prepared, how it's cut. Just like a diamond, when you cut a meteorite, there could be tons of loss. You make a sphere out of a meteorite, you're losing so much material to get that sphere out of the center. Same thing for a cube. So we're looking for all these things to add value to meteorite, and this is what draws us to them. When you have the regmaglyphs in here, which are formed during the ablation of flight, it's coming through the atmosphere, and these are wind divots or softer material being blown out. You here have a Sikhote-Alin with these really beautiful, it's a Russian iron meteorite. You have these beautiful flow lines showing total orientation. So that piece came into our atmosphere nose first, and all these flow lines totally show its orientation. Here's a piece of Seracho that I prepared I want to say I did this one myself. Yeah, I did. And this is my acid etching here. I didn't cut it, but I acid etched it. So that adds to the value as well. When you see a unique 3D shock vein on a meteorite, that's going to increase its collectability, its value to you. Here's a beautifully shaped, in my opinion, it's my own opinion, and you can have a difference of opinion, but this is a beautiful Campo di Cielo. I think it's gorgeous. It doesn't have to be a nobular, regmaglyph. It's a beautiful stand-up piece, and I love it. I put a lot of value on that because I obviously bought it. Here's a piece of Vinyalis, a Cuban fall. As you can see, this white part here, that's the normal look of the Vinyalis chondrite. This was impacted in space, and you actually have total shock melting going on here. It's probably hitting this direction because you can see the shock lanes going out, but you also have rivers of melt. So up here, imagine this is one pebble. Imagine down here is another pebble here, and then this pebble came out here. Something crammed into it, melted all this stuff, and in the middle is even finer melt. So you really get to see and understand the meteorite by looking at slices of it. Here's a slice of diagonite, NWA 7831. Beautiful backlit, but just beautifully cut. And when it's cut like that, the value goes up on that exact meteorite, goes up exponentially. Here's a nice, we talk about water damage or oxidation stability. How stable is the meteorite? You know, when we go to buy a meteorite, we want it to last for a while. So we don't want to buy something or own something that's going to be constantly rusted or constantly needing to be attended to, and something that fits your environment. If you can put yourself on mute, I'd sure appreciate it. Down here is a cool oxidation in an NWA. It's an NWA unclassified chondrite, and it had a big metal bleb that bled out into the surrounding rock, and that adds value to it, I believe. Here's an example of contraction cracks in the crust, another desirable thing that we look for, and adds value to it. Now we're going into the confidence that we had on the other one. We're talking about source. So one word that comes to mind when we meteorite people talk about source and value and meteorites is provenance. Provenance, provenance, provenance. The provenance belongs with that rock, with that stone. Like this right here is an example of a beautiful, beautiful museum piece of documentation that accompanied Oz Backman's piece of Johnstown. Just beautiful. So that needs to be passed along. It's part of the rock's history, the stone's history, and it should be disclosed all the time, in my opinion. Reliability. This goes to, like, would you buy meteorites from an uneducated guy at a rock show? Would you buy meteorites from a guy in a van down by the river? You know, how trusted is your dealer's reputation? You know, is it from a museum piece? Is it a documented museum piece? You can find it in their collection. It has a museum number. It has all the background documentation. You have all the trade paperwork. That obviously increases the value. We're talking about historic items that have been curated through the years. Sometimes you can actually get it in a trade through an academic institute. So if they have a lot of a sample and they need something new, and you have that something new, you can give it to them and trade it. And that trade documentation should also accompany the meteorite, and that's very, very valuable. Was the meteorite found by someone important? If you have a 9-inger hand-numbered Canyon Diablo, that's going to be more valuable than any similar piece of Canyon Diablo that I have, because I don't have a 9-inger piece. So that's something that is really, really cool and super important. And there's a lot of new people getting into meteorites. You got to really be careful. I put this in there for Cameron. Oh my God. I had it. Salakaga. This one actually can be traced back to the Smithsonian. So I have, and a lot of people have this, but there was a 10-gram piece that came from the Smithsonian, and it's been broken down into smaller pieces. But everyone who has a piece of that original 10.1 grams should have a copy of this to accompany it. This accompanied one of my pieces of Mbale from Germany. Here's some hand-numbered Albrights. These are Norton County. These were done, these are an academic trade. These are the University of New Mexico's numbering on them. The source of the meteorite also has a lot to do with the prep work, because once you buy material and you decide you want to cut it, you want to do something with it, you want to preserve it, that's really important. Just like going to Harry Winston's and buying your diamond, it's the same diamond you're buying somewhere else, but it's, you know, it's Harry Winston's. Just that's not true with meteorites. Who cut, who prepped, who stabilized it? Did they do it correctly? Did they run it long enough? What kind of instruments are they using? What environment do they have? All this is really important, because if you're paying to stabilize a meteorite, or you're expecting to get a stable meteorite, and you had someone who rushed through the process and didn't get all the chlorides out, you're gonna have to deal with that eventually, and it's gonna be from the inside out, which is probably not the best way to find out. So that's the fourth S as far as source goes. I'll pause here for any comments or questions.
Yeah,
Silicaga.
Silicaga. I knew it. Damn. I was even practicing, dude. Seriously. The next one, and this is my favorite.
Topher, just a quick question, real quick.
Yeah.
Most, you know, I bought quite a number of slices from, you know, reputable vendors. Most vendors do not tell you how to process a slice or even a stone.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you determine if it was done correctly? And they're very, you know, they don't share their, you know, their secrets.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of the cutting and prep work is trade secret. So some people will not, and there's some people that will not for good reason, and there's some that will not for bad reasons. The bad reasons being there right now there's a, this is going out on YouTube, I better not say it. There is a entity that is known for selling small bits of historic falls, and are being questioned lately. So getting back to the prep and cutting, I guess the only real way to do it is just ask, and then talk with your dollars. If you want to buy something and they don't want to give you all the information, well, it's worth less to you now, isn't it? And tell them that.
Yeah.
And I would also throw in that 99.99% of all historic irons and meteorites are not preserved in any way whatsoever.
Absolutely correct. The preparation and this stabilization and etching that I'm talking about today is like, if I were to buy, not that I'm going to, but that beautiful Campo behind me, if I wanted to cut that down, polish it up, etch it, and preserve it with a sealant, and sell slices of that, me as a dealer, I know who I'm gonna work with. I know their policies, their procedures. I know what quality work they do. So when I sell these pieces, I tell people who did the work, and I tell them what my guarantee is on it. If it's in the box, yeah, you're guaranteed. So that's one thing, is choose to work with dealers who share that information, or speak with your dollars and tell them, hey, that would add value to me. If you tell me that, I will gladly pay your price. Otherwise, I have a negotiation for you. You can keep that trade secret, and I'll keep a little bit more of my cash.
There are some aspects of the cutting that are obvious and tactile.
Yes.
A well-cut slice will not be wedged, and anybody who is selling a slice that's wedged should point that out. If the slice is not flat, if somebody polished it in a way where the edges are all rounded off, oftentimes on more valuable material, they'll lap one side and not the other. And if you're buying from a reputable source, those things should be discussed.
Mm-hmm.
And the really good sources will tell you who did the cutting. I bought my 11273 lunar slice. I knew it was cut by Martin Sills on a diamond wire saw. And it's dead flat. The base it's not wedged at all. A good dealer will tell.
Yeah. a good dealer will tell. And like I said, everything's a negotiation. You know, if you can make a counter offer and they could say no, it's, you know, it's up to somewhere. Hopefully you'll find a middle ground, and it may take a while. It may take a year or two. Hey, that just adds to the story. The 5 S's ends with story. Oh man, this is my favorite part. I mean, everything about the meteorite is in here. Was it witnessed? Was it on your birthday? Is it a historic fall? Was it the first U.S. fall? Was it a bolide event like Chelyabinsk? Was it all in the news? Is there lots of news clippings that you can collect with it? I mean, that adds to its value as well. Birthday, every collector wants their birthday fall. So we're going to pay a little bit. We're going to pay a little bit of stupid money sometimes if it's our birthday fall. Just being honest with you. If it's a hammer effect, if that thing nailed a mailbox or peak skill or hit a car, Aquasarchus, I mean, those hammer stones are 6 times more valuable than a non-hammer. And the chemistry is exactly the same. It's the exact same stone, but it's a hammer stone. It nailed something human-made, so therefore it has a backstory. The story adds to the value. Where? Well, there's so many NWAs found, but how often do you find a big one like that from Massachusetts? That's Barnstable. So that's Stephen Amara's find, Barnstable, and that's me showing it a little bit of cosmic love. Now, when you acquire the meteorite, was it at the Tucson show? Was it at Ensenstein? Was it from an estate sale? Like, was someone with you? What made it memorable? Where I think well, I may be getting a little ahead of myself, or maybe not. Anyway, is it difficult? We're from a small country. Obviously, we have a collector in our midst, Jesse Piper. He collects Japanese falls. That's a small place. They're historic. They're expensive. They're very valuable to him. There is a Russian meteorite that is rumored to have been smuggled out of Russia on the back of trained cats. That is a pretty cool story. Another cool thing about where that talks to the story is, what about the strewn field? What's the history of the strewn field? What if it fell on a farmer's field and he said, no one's coming in here, and he guarded it until the day he died? Now his widow says, come on in and get it, guys. That's more valuable to me. I'd love to have something like that. My favorite one is Brahin. It's a Belarusian, so it fell in Belarus it was discovered in 1810. And then the Chernobyl accident about 20 miles away happened in the 80s and contaminated the strewn field where the meteorites are distributed. And that basically made it an inhabitable, unhuntable zone for 2 decades. It's just now opening up so you can get in there and hunt a little bit. So here's the who. I did a little bit myself, but did you find it? I mean, because I'll tell you what, it is a 1.6 gram gold basin, but I am never selling my first meteorite that I found. That's too valuable to me. So was it a known hunter that found it? I used the example of Ninninger earlier. Did you buy and split it with a friend? Every once in a while, you have an opportunity to buy a meteorite, you cut it in half, and you guys are both surprised. That's me and Travis Howard at the Meteorite Mansion. Who's the main mass holder? I mean, if your friend is the main mass holder, or you know the main mass holder, or you're buying it from the main mass holder, that has more valuable, you know. Who did it pass through? If you're looking at the provenance of it, and it passed through like Mike Farmer has some that passed through royalty. Well, that's obviously a lot more valuable than a Campo di Cielo sitting over there. Is it your classification? Because I guarantee you that if it's your classification, it's going to be a lot more valuable to you. And we already talked about the cutting and prepping. So why? Why are you buying this meteorite? why take money out of your pocket and buy this meteorite? Is it for your personal collection? Then you might want to pay a little more for it. Is it a display piece? It may be a little bit more valuable. Are you buying it as an investment? Going to buy it, put it away like the Eskel guy, Robert Ward? No, Bob Haig, has a slice of Eskel about that big, one for each of his daughters. When he got it, he cut them, put them aside from him and said, that's your retirement. You don't have to worry about it. Are you a class collector? You know how I showed you that chart of all the classifications. If you need one to fill in that one little checkbox you're missing, I guarantee you're going to pay stupid money for it. But it's more valuable. You're only going to pay what it's valued at by you. So here's one I had to have. I had to have Chandler. It is important to me. It's extremely important. If I'm the only meteorite dealer that lives in Chandler and I don't own a piece of Chandler, come on. So I'm one of only 2 collectors on Earth that have a piece of Chandler. Now the story continues. I was talking earlier about if it's your classification, it may be more valuable to you. These are some very valuable meteorites to me. Other things that add to the value to me is when I get the first COA from one of my friend's companies ever issued. I have serial number 2 of Barnstable. He meaning Stephen Amara has number 1. I have number 2. And this is on its way from Spain today. It's high metal yielding Winonite. It's super special material.
Hey, Topher, I'm sorry I have to go. I'm enjoying this, but my wife says dinner's ready.
All right. Thanks for joining us. Take care, man.
See you later.
So this is a Winonite that I have coming from Spain, and he put on the COA. This is Sean Mahoney. That's the first Winonite sale. So that's definitely important and valuable to me. Continuing with the story, looking into the future. The first meteorite was found on Mars. That's much more valuable than any Earth meteorite. Scientific discoveries are being made still. This new mineral, Ediscotite, Edsotite, was discovered in this Australian meteorite. Alan Hill's 84001 proved that there was definitely water on Mars. So there's so much that could be learned from these valuable pieces of cosmic debris. But there's also the unstory. Did you know that the NWA number correlates to what year it was discovered in? That's not true at all. Fake news. They're issued chronologically, or else we'd be in the year 11,000 or 13,920. Did you know that this meteorite, Mbale, cures cancer or cures AIDS? That's right. When it fell in Uganda, all the locals were going through, the Ugandans were going through their AIDS epidemic, and they were telling each other that if you crush it up and eat it or drink it or turn it into a paste and rub it all over your body, it'll cure AIDS. So much material was lost. And the new one is coronavirus came from a meteorite. So there's a lot of unstories and there's a lot of true stories. And I'd like to ask if anyone has any questions, and thank you very much for your interest.
Oh, that's a great presentation. If anybody ever wants to send me any Mbale or Mbale, however it's pronounced,
Yeah.
that's my birthday.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, and naturally it had to hit people in the head, so you know.
Yeah.
So it can't. It's just unfindable.
I actually have an 8-gram slice available for sale on my.
You do?
Yes, I do.
Oh, could you put
Martin,
it on that and I'll talk to you later?
Yeah, absolutely. So, in fact, Martin, Welcome to the show, buddy.
I made it.
I have something behind me here.
Have you found any interesting chondrites lately?
You know what?
Maybe
I'm gonna spotlight you for a second
Topher?
because I've been talking for way too long. Whoop, hold on a second.
Oh, you don't.
There you go. All right.
Hi, everybody. I'm Martin Lollar.
Martin has a little story to share with us.
Well, it's pretty simple. I've been doing this for probably about 3.5 years now, and being the type I am, I try to learn everything I can, and I know a lot of your people's names, even though you probably don't know mine because I've looked you up and I know who some of the players are. But I went ahead and I got an IMCA number, and I'm trying to learn, and I thought, well, part of my process I think should be trying to go through the classification process of buying a meteor, because I'm in Dallas, Texas, and I can't get overseas for a while anyway to look, or even Arizona. So I thought, well, what I'll do is, and Topher was having one of his sales, so he had a nice little cut chondrite, about, you know, fit in your hand kind of thing, not too big. And I thought, well, it kind of fits everything I need. It's got a main mass, which is, you know, about the size of a big cupcake, and a little bit sliced off the bottom. So I've got my 20+ grams to send in, right? It's nice and shiny. So, you know, even though it's a chondrite, not something maybe overly interesting. Well, to me, it's fascinating, but I'm thinking of the scientists that have to go through the classification process and want something interesting to put in their collections. I thought, I'll just buy that from Topher. So he and I what were we doing? I think we were emailing or DMing back and forth.
Yeah, on Facebook.
Yeah, and I said, well, Topher, the reason I bought that from him was I thought I could take that bottom part, you know, send it in and start, because I joined the Lunar Planetary Society and all. I found the forms to fill it in, and everything I kept looking at was, boy, nothing makes this sound really interesting, but I'll what the heck, you know, send it in, and maybe 3, 4, 5 months somebody will get interested. So I talked with Topher, said, yeah, that's why I bought that from you. And Topher's like, well, it's not a bad idea, but you know, there's stuff a lot more interesting to do than that gets the classifier's attention. And he said, you know, there's some, you know, obviously an achondrite of some kind, or metal, or any HED type. And so he said, I said, well, you know, I'll probably never have a lapidary saw. I'd end up cutting a thumb off if I got one, or polishing the heel of my hand. You guys know how to do that stuff, and I'd be more than happy to pay you to let you treat something for me. And so I said, well, what do you think about, would you be willing to go in maybe with me on it, and I'll pay the fee for the classification, and at least my half, not more, because it's my idea. And he said, well, let me look around a little bit. And Topher, wasn't it later that night?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm trying to get to sleep. You know, I get up at like 6, and I'm still working from home on a computer. And so I'll let Topher kind of take from there, but I'll leave you with, so about midnight, about midnight, I get a direct message, and he says, oh man, I have found something. You take it from there,
yeah.
Topher.
So it was pretty cool. Let me see if I can unpin you real quick. Right.
Yeah, I see you.
It was really cool because I did look around, and this one isn't interesting for a classifier, but I wanted Martin to have a meteorite, because he's not going to sell this. This is for his private collection, and he wants it classified, but he doesn't want it cut. And I found the best of everything. Let me show this to you, and then we'll zoom in on the Met cam.
A beast.
This is what we are calling the beast. It is a nice oriented piece with secondary fusion crust there, exposed matrix here. And the great thing about it is Martin gets a complete, uncut main mass, exactly what he wanted for himself, totally oriented display piece, going to be classified and on its way to him. This is my little humble piece showing an oriented and a nice lipping on here, but I will be cutting off right here and sending that into the lab, or maybe even down here, as long as they get some crust. Cutting along here and sending that to the lab and getting it classified. So let me switch over to my patent pending Metcam. And by the way, Dustin Dickens has joined us, guys. So we're going to switch to him in a minute, and he's going to. What we're trying to do is impress him enough with how awesome we all are that he just cannot say no to being a guest speaker.
Is that the moon?
So this.
There we go.
That is the beast.
And it's just got that.
I saw that piece. I've seen pictures of that piece. I always want. I can't wait to see what those clasps look like. Sorry.
Yeah. No. That's what this is about. Excitement and interrupting. I love. I have this camera as a spotlight, so anyone and everyone can talk. But yeah, look at this huge chondrules right here, man.
It's got some interesting.
It's got some cool stuff.
Yeah.
Look at this. I can't decide. There's a massive chondrule right there.
Yeah. And then alien creature crawled out of a hole.
I think, based on what I'm seeing, this does not look like an inclusion blowout. I'm not exactly sure what happened here. Dustin, do you have any opinion?
Impact melt or just weird weathering. Sometimes you get these weird little, like almost like blowtorch effects with sand that it's almost like a little pipe that's created by other rocks, and it just sort of blows little pieces out. But I don't know, or it could be an impact melt feature. It's hard to tell.
What's it look at all that metal sticking up.
No, it's definitely. I think the blowtorchy sand out. You see, there's an exposed chondrule sticking out right in the middle. So that's most likely it's just a really trippy weathering effect.
It does look like sandblasting on that side, doesn't it? Because of the
and you get and actually the rest of the stone of that side actually supports that as well.
But this is your main. This is Martin's main mass.
I know, and I'm having so much trouble getting it out of Topher.
I've had it for L6.
Yeah,
He said, I'm going to keep it to show for my show. And I said, I know where you're keeping it. I don't blame you.
But external things are actually chondrules. And if they haven't expanded, those are big.
Yeah, they are.
That right there?
Really big chondrules in there.
Yeah. I hunted around, and I really wanted to find a piece that would do Martin happy. And he'd be proud of.
I'd be eternally grateful for you on that too, sir. That was a wonderful thing.
I will tell you though, you're going to have a problem with it. It's beautiful from every angle.
It's like Paul Newman, isn't it? So you can't get a bad picture of it.
I would say that is about an L7, L6 maybe.
You think?
Yeah, but I'm not a classifier, and I leave that.
No, I just don't see any metal shiny anywhere. So. I just to kind of wrap up my end.
Take a neodymium, and you should be able to tell if it's L, LL, or H pretty easily. With the,
it's light.
That looks like LL. Well, turn it
L.
See if it holds it. Will it hold the magnet?
Yeah, it's a hell of a magnet, dude.
That's an L.
Yeah, I'm
a
hell of a guy, and that's a hell of a magnet. But look at that, Martin Lollar. Congrats. Well, we're gonna go into the. Whoa, no,
Infinity. I have seen Infinity, and now I know what it is.
Look at this.
Oh,
that's what's beautiful. Yeah,
that's gorgeous.
So this is Martin Lollar's main mass. But before I send it out to him.
You know what?
Before I send it out to him, I want to take pictures of them both together.
Oh, yeah. Document the heck out of it.
And then I'm going to cut this bottom off here so it doesn't affect, like I can just take this off right here. That way, when Martin and I get together, we're going to take a picture of us holding these together,
Yes.
and they'll still fit.
Absolutely. I would recommend something else about that stone that's maybe not totally obvious, but that represents pretty much almost every stage of weathering within the desert environment. You've got some really fresh that was obviously like in the sand or buried or something, and then it kind of fades into a really smooth kind of that like cherry gloss effect, and then it wraps around all the way and goes into like really heavy pitted, you know, even into like some weird, you know, like excavating stuff, and then wraps around into like a weird mix of the two where you almost get some fluting, where you've got some fresh crust still dug in, like with matrix exposed right under, like right around it. And so it's like one of the best examples I've seen in a while of all the different possible weathering effects you could get on a chondrite. But anyway.
That is
awesome.
cool. No, that's a great observation. I just, as he was turning it around, I noticed. I just want to kind of finish up real quickly, just the story. So I think it was about midnight. He did send me then, and we were both just kind of head over heels. You know, it's like, oh God, this is perfect. By about 1 o'clock, the deal was sealed. Getting the money. I said, hey, here's what you do. Yeah, that's great. That's great. And by about 1, and then of course I couldn't get to bed for about another hour and a half because I was looking at the pictures he sent in the video going, God, that thing's beautiful. So I want to thank my friend Topher for kind of making a dream come true, plus helping me reach a goal of learning that classification process and going through it and learning patience, which I never have in 62 years of life. But I'm going to have to.
Well, we're going to have to be patient with this one.
Oh yeah. I figure what, 3-4 months.
Yeah. If we're lucky.
Yeah.
If we're lucky.
Oh man.
Well, because especially now, I would say 3 to 6 months or 3 to 4 months normally, but because of the backlog of all the COVID, Achondrites and Mars and Lunar, and I mean, Dustin knows more about the backup, and Dustin's a lot more connected and been doing this for a lot more years.
Yeah.
He does it as his full-time job, and like I said, we're trying to get him. I mean, you can see his place behind him. The dude's serious. And,
I've watched some of his videos. Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I've hung out with him a lot. He is one of the top quality characters that I know.
Yeah.
So.
I bought my Ben Cuban from him 3 years ago.
Yeah. So we'll give him a little plug, Top Meteorites.
And I have to give, and I have to plug Josh Eisler for that one, because I would not have had that one to give to you if Josh hadn't stuck me out on that.
Well, that's I appreciate it. And it's really great getting you to comment on it, Dustin. That's kind of neat to add to the comments. I appreciate it.
Stone. I mean, I honestly considered that stone for more than once looking at it. I believe it was that stone. It might have been another stone.
I will take your cast offs. It's okay.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's hardly a cast off. More just like if I bought every stone I wanted, I would be.
Oh God.
I already am.
Yeah, I know. Somebody put up something one time. The Meteorite Club group said, "Was anybody interested in this?" And I remember I'd seen that written so many times. I finally wrote, "Well, everybody's interested in it. It's just a matter of who can afford it."
Yeah.
They're all good, if not great. But yeah, but I do want to thank Topher. Thank you so much. That's it's an extremely kind thing to do to a guy who's still trying to get his feet wet in all this and be competent. You know, the minute I saw that IMCA number, all of a sudden I started reading. So I'm like, you know, I can't go in my backyard, pick up a rock and go, yeah, I'm an ICA and remember this is something from somewhere. You know, and just to try, you know, tracing stuff down. I've gone to the TCU TCU, talked with Dr. Rhiannon Main and did some looking up on some rather large piece of Tishomingo, and traced it all the way from when Art Elman sold it to, I wish I could remember the man's name in Germany. He's a pretty well-known seller. Then back to Eric Twelker, then back to me. And that was a stone that fell they're not sure when it fell, but it was discovered when I was 7 years old, 30 miles from my house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I tracked it all the way from 30 miles south of me to my shelf, which is and I just like I say, trying to learn the process. But thank you, Topher.
No,
I just
I'm
want in front of everybody. Thank you, and Dustin,
well,
thank you for commenting on it. That's really cool for
Welcome.
me. That's a cool
Well,
thing for me.
Martin, I totally appreciate it. And to be honest with you, it means something to me as well, because you and I will forever be linked on the Met Bowl.
That's right. We better not start hating each other for anything.
No, we're Met brothers,
And that son of a whatever.
yeah, no, we're Met brothers, and
Iron is thicker than blood.
That's great. I'm Met
gonna
brothers.
use that.
I'm Met brothers with Jason Bliss.
I saw
But-
that with you and Jason.
But this is a puzzle piece, man.
yeah.
Like, I've never seen a puzzle piece where it's going to be you and me, and like that's it. Like, I don't plan on, like, commercially, I'm not selling any of this. The lab's going to take what the lab's going to take, and then you and I are Met bros.
Well, you know, when you wrote me so excited, I know you well enough to know it wasn't just because of the meteorite; it was something different. So
Exactly.
I'm like, okay, what's your I got your PayPal number right here.
I could have gone through my boxes back there and picked one and shoved it into your need.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that's not how we do this. I
totally.
need you to be. I need you to be like that ace, that like that hyperactive kid you were, not being able to go to
God.
sleep.
I still, when I think about it, you know.
No, it's here. I've done what I need to
Thanks,
do. The next thing I need to do is photograph it, cut it, and well, no, I'll photograph it and send your piece. I'll cut it later.
Okay. I saw your garage, so I wasn't waiting on that anytime soon.
You guys,
Topher sent a picture of his garage and what he has to get cleaned before he can cut it. And I'm like, dude, I know that feeling. But anyway, thanks for letting me talk a bit about that. That's fun. That's
No
fun
problem.
stuff, man.
And Dustin was able to hook me up. You see that? Well, over this shoulder, right? Wow, everything's backwards. Whoop. Well, I feel retarded. Check this out. This is my new beast, and it's already classified. So this is going to Craig's Lyman, and I'm going to be able to offer anyone who wants a massive slice of an H chondrite. Look at this puppy.
I can't wait to see the slices of that.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it under my patent pending
You might
Metcam.
be able to sell me one back.
Yeah. So what we're
You laugh, but I've actually had that happen more than once. Seriously.
yeah.
I've probably got like 20 different slices back from people.
I've sold John Mixter a piece that he's then sold me back, then he's bought back from me. So yeah, we just add like $5 on each time to make each other feel better.
Yeah, / how hard up am I this month?
Yeah. Well, this one here is already classified, like I said, so it's like ready for the saw. And the reason I say that is when we go to let's go to the web, let's go to the Metcam. I say that because it is, look at that fusion crust. It's not a particularly shapely piece.
No.
It's blocky, which is nice. It'll make nice slices,
Good cutter.
but it doesn't have regmaglyphs. It doesn't have orientation. So it doesn't have a whole lot of those things that would tell me not to cut it. But, oh my God, this is heavy, dude. But I think, look at that crust. Everyone's gonna want a little bit of this H because it really shines under the light. Look at that. I can't hold it. Look at that. So yeah, it's gonna
It doesn't
be.
look much for crack either.
No,
It doesn't have much for crack either. It'll be a good solid slicer.
yeah, for a weathering state too. It's gonna be a loaf. Look at that. Craig's Lyman. Look at that.
Yeah.
Just throw. And you know what's cool about it? This is gonna be the first slice right here. Oh, Daddy gets to keep it. Sorry, guys. I get a little giddy when I'm touching 8 kilos of space debris. Look at that. It never gets old, guys. Never gets old. So, Dustin, I appreciate you making this available to me. And in turn, it'll be available to collectors because I'm going to definitely do something with it.
Nice. Right.
And Martin, you mentioned about meteorite hunting, and we all certainly know Texas is a big place, but there are 312 classified meteorites found in Texas.
I was thinking the same thing
I've-
when you
I've
said that.
actually
I would
looked
love to be in the Texas desert hunting.
I have looked that up, and I know some areas. So whenever it cools off and the rattlesnakes go back under their rocks.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, if you're afraid of rattlesnakes, you might as well give up now.
We're not afraid of them. Just don't want to
I'm
give.
teasing.
They'll go off. They'll run away anyway.
I
Typically.
just had this conversation with my wife this morning. Actually.
Oh. Did she inform you you're afraid of rattlesnakes?
No, she's just like, you're not going out there. You're not taking my son out there.
I've got a wife that chases and actually I saw chase a rattlesnake once.
Really?
So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, she's an outdoors
Gotta
type.
get our wives together. Maybe she
Rub off.
exactly.
But yeah, Texas, you're right. Texas, there's some really good places to look. If I just find something the size of my thumb, I'd be overjoyed. I'm just going to take some of my huge neodymium magnets out and put them on a stick.
Dude, it's not going to be little.
What
are you talking about?
I can only afford little pieces of Texas meteorites, man. No, there's some.
They don't make anything small, dude.
Yeah, that's what they tell me. I'm actually from Oklahoma, believe it or not. That's why that.
So it's like, show me.
Yeah, but nothing small in Texas. But
no, is that
yeah,
Missouri? I'm sorry.
really, yeah. In fact, if y'all know any good strewn fields around, in fact, I was actually thinking about going in the area of Ash Creek and see if it had been completely taken out, because I'm like 90 miles from Ash Creek area.
I don't think they're ever completely taken out.
Well, even if I found a few crumbs of something, it'd be nice. I've got two nice big. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. No strewn field is ever entirely hunted out. You have to work a little harder. Even Holbrook, which fell in 1912, over 100 years ago. You can't go find things as big as your fist, but you can go there and spend a few hours and find at least a meteorite. And finding a meteorite changed me. It was a major thing.
Yeah, it's
like
sort
learning
of
how to make crack instead of just buying.
yeah. That's I'm afraid of. I'm going to find one. Next thing I know, they'll find my bones out with a metal detector. Going by one more, just one more.
Just one more, man. I know I can find it.
I am dying over here, guys.
It's sad, but it's so true.
And it's funny because there's if you've ever been to the Mondig Museum at TCU, I love on the door going out of the collection, there's an inscribed wooden plaque that says, it's a quote from Oscar Mondig, and he says, if you just go around all of Texas, grab every rock that a farmer has holding his door open, you end up with a damn good meteorite collection.
Probably. Very true. At least 50 years ago, that was true.
Yeah, well, that everybody sort of found out about meteorite collecting.
Yeah, I was gonna say some people have ruined it for everybody.
Not me, of course.
I'm just kidding.
Well,
there's still fence rows out there. There's still fence rows out there where the rocks got thrown up against the fence and got used for a doorstop, or put a rock to put on the board to hold the sauerkraut under the water to ferment. And even if you go to the first page of the Met Bowl and look at the weights, 19 kilos, 2.4 kilos, 93 kilos, 6 kilos, 46 kilos, 50 kilos. Yeah.
There's more.
Well, I recently put a story up on my Topherspin Meteorites Facebook page. That was really cool. It's a video by the finder of and main mass holder of Trilby Wash. Trilby Wash is a Arizona meteorite find. He's a gold prospector, I guess. He goes out there and hunts for gold nuggets, and there's a bunch in Arizona, and that's what he does. But as he's going out there in the desert, he was finding these hot rocks all the time, hot rocks, and he just kind of like, I'm tired of running into these damn things. So him and his buddy, every time they went out, they would just pile them at the base of bushes. And so that way, when they went out there, they would not have any hot rocks. Later on, he was talking with a, Dustin knows where this is going. Later on, he was talking with a meteorite collector, and the meteorite guy was like, yeah, I found tons. They're super easy. They were all piled up at the base of bushes. And I went out in the desert bush to bush. So the guy went out and he said, next time I see those things, I'm just going to collect them and bring them home and look at them. And he educated himself enough by getting aware and looking at real meteorites and handling them that he actually went out and like I said, the video is on my page so you can watch it, but he basically goes out and he picked up a hot rock, looks at it and says, that is definitely a meteorite. And guess what? It was, and it was a new classification, a new name, and he got to name it himself. He got to pick the name, so he and it has to be a location near where it fell or where it was found. He picked Trilby Wash, so that's a cool story.
Right on. I'm gonna get to do that pretty soon here. I'm excited about that.
What is that huge iron behind you?
Huh?
What is that huge iron against the wall back there?
That thing? That's believe it or not, it's a piece of Nantan.
Of what?
That's a three
Nantan.
kilo something piece of Nantan. Yeah, and that's all. Those are all silicate inclusions.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah, not all Nantan is nasty and gross. Some of it's really beautiful.
We're told it's all crumbly.
Good pieces.
That is gorgeous.
It puts on a oxide patina very quickly, as some people like to call it.
Oh yeah, it's a ruster for sure. In fact, that's what I bought that piece for. Is just somebody sold it to me super cheap as a fixer-upper, and I've yet to fix it up. And yet again, my wife, you're not selling that piece. Chandra, my wife. No, Chandra. Sorry.
I spy a microscope there too.
Yeah, this is the beginning of my, and of course I find out like right as I start really delving into the classifications that I'm not even going to be using the pole scope for any of the classifications. It's all reflected light on the probe mount, and the probe mounts are too thick for the pole scopes to work, and then you're getting all of your characterization of your olivines and your pyroxenes from the probe, and so really all you're doing is like, what do the grain boundaries look like? Is it, what are you looking like, and what do I think it is? So what should I have, what should I have them look for in the initial probe, and then after that it's just all chemistry, and so. Like I was told, but I thought, no, I'm going to do it optically and just do a characterization also. And then it's like, by the time you get done doing it all, it's like, no, I'm just going to do it the way they say to do it and get another scope.
Isn't it true that if you are knowledgeable enough and you do your own research and write up your own paper, your own classification paper, as long as it's signed off?
Yeah, I mean, and by signed off, as long as nomenclature, as long as 7 of the 12 voting members agree and vote on it, with the abstentions included, taken out, then yeah. And in fact, if you get good at it, they don't even, and if it's just a chondrite and it's not really complicated. They don't even have to vote on it. The editor can just approve it, unilaterally approve it.
Wow.
And so
Martin's getting excited.
I mean, but he's not just gonna like rubber stamp stuff, but I mean, it's like, it's just really straightforward in terms of the chemistry of the olivine and the chemistry of the peroxines, and as long as you're not going for a type 3 with specific subtype in it, then pretty much, and you have some history. Like I was looking at it, like, at what point do I have a track? It literally uses the word track record in the procedural things of NOMCOM. And I'm like, okay, well, wonder when does that, like, how many of these do I have to do before, like, I'm considered having a good track record?
How many classifications do you have to your name now, buddy?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's really interesting. Do I have, like, that I've done myself? None that I've done myself.
No. I'm talking about just in the NOMCOM, in the
submitted?
Met. Yeah.
Oh yeah. God, 52 that show up, and like 6 that are in process or something like that, and then like another like 8-ish that are sort of I can't find. But I'm pretty sure
it's weird. I didn't understand that. Like when I first started getting into the meteorite business seriously, I would talk to other reputable dealers, and I would ask them questions, and they'd be like, I don't know. Yeah, I think. And it's like, how many meteorites do I have in for classification right now? Well, I have 2 that are already published. I think I have 4 or 5, plus Martin's makes 6.
See?
So there's 6.
You're in the same space.
Yeah, but then again, Lawrence Garvey took some stuff off me that he said, oh, I'm interested in getting this classified, but he never really said if he was gonna, like, so is that 7? So, but the thing is,
patience is a virtue in this business.
Yeah, you'll eventually just one day get a notification that, hey, another thing's been approved on the NOMCOM.
Or you'll realize that you should have just sent an email 3 years ago because they totally fucking spaced it.
Yeah.
And that happens. And these people, I mean, I decided, I'm hoping to be one of them at some point in the near future, but like, they're just human beings, I mean, and it's tough. Trust me, when people start sending you random stones, like first to buy, like, what that's like. And then when they start becoming samples and like with random numbers and names, if you don't get an inventory management system together really, really quick, it's all over. And, and even the best inventory management systems have problems. So, they deal with that. All of those institutions deal with that.
Yeah. I was super excited when I was at ASU and Dr. Garvey put my sample number on it, put my field number on it, put his ASU specimen number on it, gave me my paper. I was like, yes. And he pulled out a drawer. And I'm like, oh no, with 50 or 60 other cases. And I'm like, nah. I felt like it was the
just be happy you were in there, and just be happy the drawer opened, and just be happy it all went in there. That's good.
Yeah, and that's luckily where I'm at right now. Luckily that the track record of proven science and meteorites have given me the access to people like that and institutions like University of Mexico and University of Washington. So it's all about building your network with different people, and also Florida State with Daniel Shake.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Daniel, definitely. I'm looking for. I'm sending him some material. I might keep. Yeah, I want to send him material. Yeah, I want to send him material. And I'm just like,
I've already got one.
I'm really sending that Pallasite.
Yeah, I've got one in with Daniel that I'm really excited about it. I hope it comes back as a 3.x or maybe even 3.XX.
He's a great person to do subtypes with. So because
well,
he's not going to charge you more for all the probe time.
Yes. He was denied on one because he didn't probe enough spots and was not big enough. And so he got on mine. Yeah, I'm going to go do 50 or 60 of them. And I said, take all the probe time you want.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy crap, that's a lot. That's awesome.
for you know,
He doesn't want to
specifically
get questioned.
chromite.
He doesn't want to
Migration.
get slammed back at him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you
And-
know, look,
and he
Dustin
wants-
wrote the paper on it. He wrote the book, so you
Right.
got a heavy filter to go through.
Yeah, but Grossman is no longer a voting member.
Oh, really?
He has rotated off. Yes,
I didn't know that.
just happened recently.
Oh,
yeah.
far out. Who's the
Now,
head?
he's still there, and
Who's
he's still an influence. I don't remember who replaced him, but your term on the non-com 2 or 3 years.
3 years.
It's not
Yeah.
super 3. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and also, Dustin, on your microscope, we
Yes.
can add incident light from on top.
I was considering that. That's one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you about it. It might make more sense to just do that.
Yeah, we'll talk, and at some point when you get some time, we'll set up a Zoom meeting and
Right on. I
Talk.
appreciate it.
yeah. But
I'd like-
it looks really nice. You got the high-powered lighthouse, and yeah, looks like
And to be
Looks like
honest
you got
with
the good
you,
stuff.
Dustin, well,
Yes, sir.
I'm looking for special guest speakers or, oh, okay, there you are. You froze up. I saw you like that. I'm always looking for guest speakers, guest presenters. It doesn't have to be as formal as my presentation. That was probably the most formal thing we've ever had on here, just because I want to clip it off and put it on its own video as well.
Yeah.
But
Interesting.
quite honestly, I think I can speak for everyone in this group that if you were to join us whenever and show us around your room, that would be a treat.
I could do that.
And that would just be your first of hopefully 2. I'm asking for 2 now. See how I do that? Always. No, you have a lot of scientific data and knowledge. You have an XRF, and it would be super neat to, and I know this is a big ask, so maybe you and I can do this separately. When you have your machine up and running, you and I could do a little something, because I know once you get the beam on, you want to keep it on. But I think people would love to see the data and the method of collection that you're able to obtain with that expensive handheld device.
Yeah, we could do it live, real time. It's super easy. I mean,
Yeah.
Well, Topher, you
That'd be
beat me
great.
to it. You beat me to it. I was going to say we had the right people in here. I was going to ask if anybody were using a handheld XRF.
have you guys seen XRF hats
what-
before? I'm sorry. go ahead.
No. I was just going to ask, if anybody, somebody's bound to. They look cute in here. And if anybody had one, and how it, I assume it's got to be dead accurate given the way it measures, the fluorescence.
Pretty accurate.
X-ray hits it, yeah.
Yeah, as bulk goes, it's pretty accurate. For what it's measuring, it's very accurate. But it's not. Its beam width isn't small enough, and the camera isn't accurate enough to where you can go down and get a grain specific sampling. And so and so all of these diagnostic ratios come from a specific olivine or specific type of pyroxene, or the feldspars, the plagioclase or whatever, the northite, how much northite is in the plage or whatever. So unless you know what the grain you're looking at, really these things are good for bulk elemental compositions, basically. And so for chondrites, irons, stony irons, they're awesome. They're totally diagnostic level. You can't classify with them, but they're diagnostic. As soon as you get into achondrites, all bets are off. Then you're getting into really little nuances of trying to figure stuff out, and you could really be wrong.
The main mass of the tool's use would be for taking a quick look at something. If you find an iron nodule out in a field and it really looks weird, you put it on there, comes back no nickel, toss it.
Yeah, make sure it's not slag that you found.
XRD, definitely way next level. It's definitely would be better than this. XRD will give you mineral compositional workups, and from that you can drill down a lot more.
And once you start getting into the various pyroxene, orthopyroxene, et cetera, it gets complicated.
Yeah, but it's not. It doesn't go much deeper than that. Believe
Yeah.
it or not. Like at that point, you're just looking at some specific ratios of some specific elements, and exactly how that all fits in is obviously takes a little time to get.
Well, that's cool. I'd just as a person still learning, I'd love it if you come on to this sometime and show us around, and I'd love to see that XFR actually, or XRF actually in action. That'd be fun.
Yeah, totally. It's really fun, and it's 300 seconds to do a full a full analysis. So it's not like we'll have to sit around and wait. We'll get real time and stuff. So yes, that sounds awesome.
Sweet.
I'd be happy to do that.
And I promise you can say top meteorites as many times as you want.
I find it's more effective when other people say it. But right on.
Hey, have you heard of Dustin's company, Top Meteorite? They're the top of meteorites.
Exactly. Soon it's going to be like, Geolabs.
Oh yeah, nice.
We'll see how that rolls. Hey, all right, I just got an order. Anyway, so for Geolabs. So yeah.
Well, we also do show and tell on here. This is a nice little conversation we got going. If anyone has anything they'd like to show off, by any means, you can grab it. And I think Pat is number one.
Cool.
Yes, I got a new ditty in the mail. So this is from John Mixter, and it is classified. This is NVA 12341.
What's the number?
If I can get it. 12341.
That's a cool.
That's
a cool number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1.
It's an LL 3.5.
Ooh.
And there it is.
Is that a 3D chondrule?
That is a 3D chondrule that's about 8 millimeters in diameter.
Wow. Only in an LL, huh?
Wow.
Amazing.
They're gonna have to remove that with surgery.
That is crazy.
That is cool.
Yeah.
All of a sudden now, silly thing didn't want to focus. Well, but anyhow, you can see that it's sticking up proud of the.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's
Damn.
Audrey. There's a researcher named Audrey that would probably really be interested in that.
Audrey Whitney?
Yeah. No, Audrey. Oh God. Sorry, Audrey. I forget your last name.
Well,
she was up in Canada. Now she's over in Europe.
John Mixter is famous. I call him my oddball guy, and he loves that term, so it's not derogative. He won't buy anything normal. Like it has to be.
Dude, I have yet to sell him a single thing, John. Right? I can't. My stuff's just not weird enough. I'm sorry, dude. I try.
He sent me to Tucson when I was there for 16 days for the show. And I hunted and hunted as his personal shopper, and I sent him picture after picture after picture, and it's a quick response. No, not really what I'm looking for, or no, I don't see anything there. And then one time I sent him something, and he's like, "Can you do me a favor and send me a picture of this right here? Zoom in as much as you can." I'm like, "Gotcha, gotcha." So what it ended up being was a Vinales, half a natural cleaved in half Vinales that had a halite crystal, a purple halite crystal.
Okay, who knows what halite is?
Yeah, with a green like structure, a webbing structure elevating it up.
It's salt. Go ahead. Sorry.
What is it?
Salt.
It's a halogen.
Oh,
Salt.
Okay.
Yeah, salt.
Yeah. But
Don't dip it in water.
The thing about that is, yes, it talks to there being water.
Yes.
But
where's the blue come from? Sorry. I'm fucking with you. Go ahead.
No. The red's refracted out. What do you think? Look at the sky, moron. No.
You know what's funny? That's absolutely 100% true. What you just said is straight up. It's a refractive characteristic from within the.
Yeah. It's not blue. You're just seeing everything but the blue.
Isn't it?
Yeah. Now, but the thing is, there's no oxidation. There's no water. All the iron and nickel around it shows no signs of water. So it was really, really weird. Yeah. So it went as after he bought it, it made its rounds on Facebook asking for people to identify the weird little thing. So as soon as Pat showed me that 3D chondrule, I was like, that's done, Mixter.
Exactly.
I got one more show and tell thing too. I've been working on trying to cut smaller meteorites on the saw, and so I've been, I've tried different substrates to glue the rock down to, and I've tried sealing wax and hot melt glue, but this one is uncut, but this is from the from Home Depot, and it's some sort of artsy looking glass glazed tile. But I was in there rooting through all of them and looking at the texture on the backside, and you can see this one's got a there you can see it's got a serration to it. So I glued a meteorite down in the corner, and then was able to make a number of cuts. And even on a fairly crumbly, very, very aged, oxidized little lump of the meteorite, I was able to get slices down to about 1.7 millimeters with pretty decent repeatability.
Like a 4-inch saw?
And
ish?
No, this is a 10-inch. It's the same Covington 10-inch that you have.
Okay. Cool.
And when I asked you about your thoughts of that, so I was kind of like, yeah, I like it, but I don't like it.
Yeah.
There are some tragically bad design decisions on that saw.
They just keep making it over and 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 over again, and just don't fix what isn't that broke, I guess.
Yeah. And I bought the Barranca diamond.
I like, yeah. What do you think about that?
Well, mechanically, it was great.
Yeah.
They replaced a bunch of the steel parts with stainless.
Yeah.
The Covington is really not designed to be used with water.
No, I know.
But the Barranca is. But when they delivered the thing, the FedEx ground guys whacked the thing so hard they busted out the end of the pallet, and they were giving me the runaround about replacing it. And then I'm working with it, and I've got it plugged in, and I lift up the top because it has a hinged top instead of
which is one of the best parts of the whole design.
Right, and Covington didn't there, but the carriage, and it has an adjustable pin to be a shut off.
Right. The
carriage slid down the face, and that pin slid into the power box, and it shot sparks out of the hole that the pin went into and out of the louvers under the thing. It was, and this is something you're using up to your
it's like a
your arms are wet up to your elbows. And
was it a design flaw, or was it because it got tweaked in the shipping?
No, I think it was a design issue. And then I started, because I'm retired from the electronics business from Hewlett-Packard. I got to look into the thing. There's no safety classification on it. There's no.
Wow.
No, Italians. No, I don't know if it's Italian or
not. United Labs or whatever.
And the
Underwriters Laboratories,
it's
ULs.
Yeah, it didn't have that. The this Barranca outfit is the same. It's a division of the same company that makes MK blades. So, but I don't want to get into a boycott situation, but a friend of a friend of a friend told me that you should not buy that saw. Okay. And the damn thing was expensive. It was $2,200. Twice the price of the Covington.
Is that for the 12-inch or the 10-inch?
10.
10. Wow.
10-inch. Yeah. So I'm in the process of making a bunch of improvements to it, and so I'll let you know what I fix, but right now it works, but changing the blade is horrible, and so anyhow, there is one technique that can be pretty generically used on all saws for smaller rocks.
And what I see as an advantage on that is my saw doesn't have, like, I have to do everything by hand. It doesn't have, but if I had a piece like that, I could actually put it up against the stopper and use that as a straight edge to feed.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
That's what I do.
This saw has a vise, and it's just it's a simple one that just clamps like this, and then it has a crossfeed screw that allows you to move the piece a little further. But this gets away from having to use the clamp and cover up most of the rocks with
and have a 4-inch end cut that you don't want or need.
Yeah.
Right.
or you freehand it from there and make wedges.
Yeah, that's what everybody does the first couple of years, unless you're like Craig and can afford a big,
Yeah. Or Stephen Amara. I want to get him on. Everyone here needs to bug Stephen Amara about coming on, being a guest speaker. He has the Barnstable story to tell us, as well as a cutting show. He has a great saw setup and makes repeatable wafer thin slices.
Nice.
Yeah, that's more about him than it is about the saw. He's got the Covington horizontal 10-inch, the one that you can bolt a lap onto or bolt a blade onto, but the blade spins horizontal, and it feeds in from the side like this to cut the rock. But he was turning out gorgeous slices by hand off of the 6-inch rock rascal saw that we had at the Meteorite Mansion. So definitely want to hear some of his secrets.
Yeah, for sure. I always love to find out how people are adhering their stones onto their substrates.
Yeah, there's a million different ways to cut stuff, and check this out. We got something here. That's Michael Kelly.
Hey guys, that was my first attempt at the weekend with the saw at the house to produce a couple little slices. And Pat, definitely appreciate you sharing that idea with Tile. I was thinking about that this weekend for how I was going to mount something, because I wanted to practice so that I could eventually cut that one right there. But I want to make sure I get it perfectly even. So.
Yeah, and it's amazing. Right. Okay, well, sandpaper too. Just hand sanding.
Yeah, so I'm still working on type of glue and preheating and all that kind of stuff. But once I get it sorted out where I start getting some very reliable results, I'll talk about it in more detail.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's nice, man.
Yeah, that's tried to finish it as best as I could, running it through hand grits. So.
Is that a Urolite or just a really equilibrated chondrite?
That's just a really equilibrated chondrite. That one's got a little more.
Oh no, that's a lot of chondrules there.
Yeah,
it's nice.
So those are just a couple pieces I wanted to start practicing with. The first one, I had the nephews over and the kids, so the first piece got cut up, and all I got left is this, because they stole it all.
Nice.
that was the intent. Was take the first one, let them see it, and let them cut it up and have it.
That's awesome. Yeah, and now you just set up that saw, so it's brand new. I just saw the saw blade being unpacked, so that's like the first kind of stuff he's cut. At the Meteorite Mansion, though, you cut something with us.
Yeah, that's what you got me hooked. I blame you.
Yeah, one of the things that we tried to do, even if you were uncomfortable, is hey, cut something. Here, cut mine then. If you're scared to cut yours, cut mine. Let me show you. If anyone has anything to show off, get it ready. But check this out.
We got a few pieces ready when you guys are ready.
Oh, nice. This is one that I talked about in my presentation. It's Zhob. It's just under 14 grams, and it is pretty much unobtainium now.
Far out. Can you throw
Nice
that
crest.
info card back up for a second?
Hold on. There we go.
Wow, far out.
From Pakistan. So this is
that
the
was
one.
the one. Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, this is the one that the Pakistani government seized at the border. The two main masses did not get out. Only the one box of fragments that went out the day before.
Nice.
So what we have here is a really nice crusted frag.
That's gorgeous. That thing is fresh.
Topher, what you're saying is
Yeah.
there's a market for training cats in Pakistan.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, so
Go
yeah,
be-
dude, tell me this cat story. I've never heard this. What's up with the cats?
Mark Lyon told me a story about. Let me turn this off. Mark Lyon told me a story, and I believe, oh God, was it?
Hey, Topher, you got this? I know the story.
You take it over then. Yeah, please.
Okay, so it was Isheyevo. So he had bought a slice of Isheyevo, CHCB, only one of its kind.
Yeah.
And in order to get it out, it came, and what he received was a cat statue. And the base of the cat statue was his slice.
Okay.
And he had a little extra to sell because in the process of removing said cat statue, the slice became multiple slices.
Okay. So it wasn't like a cat mule, like a
no cat mule. But I had also bought a piece from there, and what I received was a keychain, and it was the little piece like in a card case that had been like welded shut with like the side of an iron, and the little clip key doodad, and I was like looking at that, and I'm like, that's too funny. That's got to stay in there. And
I gotta get better at
the whole thing's going in the case that way with the the documentation from the
for sure
from
definitely.
the declaration of here's your key fob.
I feel so underwhelmed now. Mine came in a gem case.
That story with a capital S.
Yeah, you know what? And it really wasn't. Maybe I misheard him, but maybe he misspoke or was a little generic when he said it was smuggled out on the back of a cat. That's
technically true. It's just,
I thought it was a biological cat.
okay. Yeah.
This is Isheyevo. This is what we're talking about.
Oh yeah.
It's one of one from Russia.
Hold
and
on. I'll show off. I think I have one of mine. I'm gonna go.
Oh yeah, this is, I mean, so small on here you can barely even. There you go. This is a microscope piece basically, not a display piece. So yeah, I really hope that I pretty much assumed that Dustin has something bigger and bolder.
Not much. Just this little, that little guy. Is it?
Oh yeah.
Not very well taken care of, actually.
So the real cool thing about that stuff is when it gets large enough, it has layers to it. You always say here meteorites don't have layers and stratification, but
some of them do.
That actually, that material, it didn't all settle out at the same rate.
Okay. Yeah. Where's my little thing?
All right. Well, Dustin,
Okay.
he's scoping out some stuff, man.
Well, you tell me there's layers in it. I gotta look.
I've made you the spotlight in case you want to show off some stuff, bud.
Okay, so here's some weird stuff. So first off, let's see. You guys recognize that?
Oh man, that's the new ungrouped
Ungrouped
Achondrite.
Achondrite.
Okay, well, that's what I want to talk about. Probably, maybe, but as of 2 days ago, it, still no oxygen had been finished on it. So, and I've seen, so that's what I wanted to talk about. So now, look at that.
I'm so glad that you're talking about it, man, because Lherzolitic Shergottite.
Okay, right?
Yep.
And then, look at that. You guys, I'm probably, maybe, you can't really see the phenocrystal now, but pretty basaltic, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, it looks like Black Beauty.
Yeah, so these two are both HEDs.
Really?
This is an unequilibrated, I'm sorry, this is a unbrecciated eucrite, this one. And this is an unequilibrated. And truly, let me explain, I did not even know achondrites could be unequilibrated and it took me in a whole different direction of understanding like that meteoritic chemistry is basically geochemistry, and it's really easy to get locked in all these meteoritic terms and think they're all very specific and very unique to meteorites, and really they're just being borrowed 99.9% of the time from other geological previous geological stuff. But anyway, point is that when I sent this in, it was probed, and Dr. G, please understand that, like, this is not a slight in any way whatsoever. I just think it's important to point out the occasional times when even the very, very best, need more analysis or get it wrong, and it happens. And that's why it's always an initial suspected classification, even after we do microprobe, even after we do the workup. For a lot of these weird ones, until the oxygen comes back, we just don't really know. So this one, we thought it was a brand new Martian, completely brand new.
Oh my God.
That was after Carl did Dr. G did the microprobe work. And then after we looked at it a little longer and a little further, we were pretty sure it was going to come back as ungrouped achondrite. And then when Karen came back when Dr. Ziegler came back with the oxygen isotope stuff, you need to talk?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on one second. Let me finish this and then I'll be with you. And it came back the weirdest HED eucrite I'd ever seen in my life. And even weirder is, even though it's unequilibrated, just the way NomCom works and the way that it's described, if you look at the classification, it comes back as just eucrite unbrecciated. And then there's a footnote that says unequilibrated. And, if anybody wants to know what that actually means, I'll get into it.
Yeah, could you please explain that term?
Yeah, it just means that when it's recrystallizing out of its magmatic state, it hasn't gone through any secondary processing after that. It's just like, so imagine like every differentiated meteorite that's not a chondrite comes from this big enough, parent bodies that they're differentiated. And so they go through these melt processes. And the reason there's no more chondrules anywhere and all this stuff has been processed is because it's going through these geological melt processes. And then at some point they have to recrystallize, or we would have magma. We would be holding magma, so they recrystallize usually like in situ. And then they go through all these other processes. Well, occasionally, you'll find something that gets welled up from the bottom of the earth and it's like pretty much pristine, and it helps us understand what's going on, in the magmatic plumbing systems of the earth. Well, the same thing happens in Mars and these bigger differentiated parent bodies. And so, 99.99% of all the HED material we get has been, further processed by the parent body, and it's gone through post-processing after the initial recrystallization, where this particular achondrite HED eucrite unbrecciated, unequilibrated represents a more pristine, unprocessed version of that initial magmatic recrystallization.
And could that also talk to it being a younger sample?
It's possible, yeah. I really don't understand the the geological processes on Vesta enough, or the Vestoid enough to know. I think probably even the best would be speculation until you did uranium dating, or you did some kind of initial the first time it recrystallized out of magma. How long ago did that happen?
The reason I asked that is if it came from a parent body that was around for longer before it was ejected, it would have the possibility to go through more geological changes. Yes. However, if the parent body was young in its life and then the ejecta came off, it's more apparent or more possible that it could be unequilibrated.
Yeah, and I think on a wholesale level that makes sense, and I think it's possible that that has something to do with the overall processing dynamics. But based on what I see on Earth and Mars and all these other places, it seems to be almost kind of like site specific within the parent body as to what's been processed. And like some places in Australia have these like 3 billion year old stones that just haven't been processed because they were in a particular place in a particular thing. And I have a feeling that's probably more likely than the fact that it's that it was like an early ejection.
Yeah, see that's what I was always looking for, the gold.
But I don't know. That's total speculation on my part.
And it's cool to hypothesize. We just don't want to misshare or share misinformation, but asking these questions is good.
Which I do all the time, accidentally, and I try to make it known that please always, second guess my what I'm saying. I'm always open to being wrong, Anyway, but I want to do this one real quick too and say that this thing looks totally processed, right? It's unbrecciated, but it's not unequilibrated, right? And it looks like a Lherzolite kind of.
Yeah.
But when you get them right next to each other, you can clearly see the difference. But in a picture, or whatever, not so obvious, right? Now. Okay, so how many eucrites have you seen that kind of have that look? Right, a lot. Oh, I have anyway. To me, that's an unbrecciated eucrite. It's also a knocklite look, right?
Yep.
It's a granular, granite-esque kind of
large
achondritic look, right? Yep. And then you've got big, diopside phenocryst, or what I'm pretty sure diopside phenocryst in it, which you don't see in. But if you look down into it, it just looks like all pyroxene to me. The whole entire thing just looks like a big chunk of different pyroxenes, and those big crystals you're seeing, if you look really deep into it, you're going to see that it's all the white part is just like cryptocrystalline crushed versions of the bigger green crystals. And the darker parts, to me, just like the reddish parts, just look like shock, or maybe there was a little bit more iron or something in one of the in one of the pyroxenes or something. And if there is even iron, I'm pretty sure, because I'm still working on the geochemistry of that. But point being is, it looks a lot like a monomic diogenite anomalous to me.
Wow.
Hey, Dustin, with the crystals in there, some of them have those nice long linear crystals.
Yeah, very pyroxene.
Do you think? Yeah, are they preferentially oriented? Like, is there an orientation to them? Because it seems like some pieces, the way they cut it, you have a lot of those crystals all kind of linear, and other pieces it seems like they cross cut it. So I'm wondering if it's got a flow texture to it when it formed.
Yeah, no, I would say it's pretty random.
It's randomized?
Okay. Yeah, that's my gut feeling. Yeah, it's definitely, I'm seeing all kinds of different orientations.
Just happens to be that some of them are all lined up in some of the slices. Because some of them you have those nice long crystals that you don't see in
there's
meters.
A bunch of them in those slices. Yeah, and that could be, like, I've seen stones where there's preferred orientation on some parts of the stone and not in others, and then others where it looks like it is, but it was really just the way they cut it.
Right.
So it's hard to tell.
The SNCs were melt pockets and crystals forming and then settling into the bottom of the melt pocket.
For the phenocryst. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I'm just starting to really kind of learn a little bit about the way the plumbing magmatics work, which, by the way, this is a really great, if you guys are interested, this is a really great book for that. It's a little textbooky, but oh wait, it's backwards. Sorry. How do I?
No, we can see it good.
Can you see it good? Okay,
yeah.
So just backwards for me.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway.
And Pat's writing it down right now, so just hold it up for. There you go.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. I'll leave it there.
The author is Steffi Bouchard. Thank you, Steffi. Oh, and thank you, Top Meteorites.
Topherspin Meteorites.
Yeah, there you go. It's always better when someone else says it.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, I absolutely love when I see people just picking up their coffee mug and it says Topherspin on the outside.
Exactly. Hey, hold on one second, guys. I need to talk to my son for a second.
Absolutely. While he's doing that, does anyone have something they want to show off? All right, Martin.
Well, basically, I think I'm going to show that I'm still young at this and new and blinded by shiny, bright things.
There's nothing young about you.
But thank you. And same to you. I appreciate it. I come here to take this abuse. I can get that abuse in the living room from my wife.
Right?
Okay, there's only 5 of these classified of this type. I have 1.99 grams of the largest mass of it available. See if anybody can tell by looking at it what kind of thing it is. Like I say, there's only 5 classified like this. Come on.
The Pallasite?
It is Pallasite, specific kind.
It's a Plessic Pallasite.
It's
Plessic.
It's Eagle Station Pallasite.
Eagle Station, yeah. Plessic Pallasites.
Yeah, and it's the Kavananu, which is the largest mass of all 5 of them that fell. It's the largest, and I got, we'll call it 2 grams. It's officially 1.99.
That's a lot for that.
Well, I was kind of happy to get it. I figure most of y'all have some piece.
I don't have any.
Really, really.
Nope.
I didn't know if it was just a shiny kind of nice to have thing, but I was fascinated by the dark orangeness of the crystals, and I was wanting to get it under my microscope and take a closer look. So that's my new shiny toy.
I have
that thing by your right shoulder that's just off to the other. You've already shown it.
Oh yeah, the beast.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the only, and probably the only one of those I'll ever try to collect because they're not cheap.
We think this might be it. We think I've got this being classified right now, and we think it might be like it might come out as Eagle Station. That's all. That's all crystal, and that's just a little bitty bit of metal in it. But
wow.
But I don't know if it is or not.
How much mass do you have of it?
How much do they have of this? I think like 2 or 3 grams. Not very much.
Damn.
Which is why I'm like not like classifying it in a normal way. It's just basically getting probed, and we're trying to figure out if it's, what it's made out of.
Dang, that's cool. It's so,
not Eagle Station. I mean it's Eagle Station like, but
yeah,
it's not.
It's so cool. Like honestly, we're just a bunch of random dudes, but we are on the forefront of science here. Like seriously, one of the hottest meteorites on the planet right now being contested or being discussed openly is the ungrouped achondrite that Dustin just showed us. It is quite literally
hopeful.
Yeah. Hopeful achondrite. And to be honest with you, I hate saying this. I hate it going out on YouTube, but I never filter myself. People who are buying it now before it's classified, and they're spending a lot of money on it. I haven't bought nothing of it yet. Nothing, honey.
Hey, but look, I'm a gambler. I mean, it could happen. Who knows? I mean, this thing could be anything.
And then another month from
how much we thought it was worth it. We traded Lherzolite for that.
Oh, yeah. Another month or 2 or years or 3 from now, you guys might be laughing at me for not buying any, you miser.
And then cut it.
Yeah, and you lost 15 to 20% by cutting it.
Yep.
Is that the one I held in Tucson?
Yeah, it is, actually.
Oh, my God. I have a video of me holding that thing before I learned how to say Lherzolitic. And
but the only reason I'm doing this is because I've held on to this stuff too long, and it should have been flipped quicker. And I'm selling it on my website at $250 a gram, I think, maybe 200 to 250. It'll probably end up at somewhere between 150 and 250 a gram for slices like that. And I got to get my dude some money, bottom line. So anyway,
I've been in that. I've been in that place where you're looking at the calendar and you're looking at the Moroccan. You're like, I gotta pay that guy.
Yeah, like I get to keep two, and then they gotta go, and someone else gets to sit on it and figure it out for a while. Anyway, whatever. It's there if you guys wanna. Anybody wanna contact me on it?
That is awesome, man. That is some awesome material too. Jeez. Hey, Charles, you got something?
Meteorites.
You got something, Charles?
You're talking to me?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got something I'd like to show.
Yeah, see, I could just tell. Something I read a twinkle in his eye, and I'm like, that dude's got something.
I have lots of stuff I like. Well, I'm kind of a fan of flow lines.
Ooh, yeah.
Who isn't?
And I bought a Sikhote-Alin recently. I don't know if this is there. I've actually showed this one on.
Yeah,
Facebook.
I've seen this one.
Yeah, this is. Oh, come on. Focus.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, this is covered with flow lines. I mean, I've never seen so many.
Is that the Diogenite?
No, this is a Sikhote-Alin.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Sikhote. Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, and the neat thing about it, the back of it looks like shrapnel, and the front of it looks oriented.
Wow.
But come on, stupid camera doesn't want to focus. Getting closer. No. Anyway, so it's got flow lines. It's got frothing. It's just a beautiful piece. I kind of hesitated to buy this thing, but it's probably my best. I have like 4 Sikhote-Alins. This is my ultimate best.
Pretty.
Now, I've learned a little bit about Sikhote-Alin myself, and this may be old hat for people who are in here right now, but do you guys know how and where the Sikhote-Alin shrapnel versus oriented and shapely pieces, what's the difference? What causes one to be shrapnel and why the other one is regmaglyph and sexy with flow lines?
I understood that
Airburst height.
It was 2 airbursts, what I understood.
Exactly.
Yep.
Okay. So basically, you basically have
whether it's still part of the incandescent phase or the incandescent phase or the dark phase.
Right.
Exactly. Yep. All right. And here's another question that we can hopefully educate and share some knowledge. Why do meteorites bolide? Why do they explode? Or what's one hypothesis, I should say?
Isn't it air pressure?
Correct. The varying air pressure between the high pressure of air that it's compacting in front of the flight and the vacuum of void of negative air behind it. You have a negative pressure pulling. You have a negative pressure pulling this way and a positive pressure building up in front of it, and eventually you get the bolide.
Yeah. Yeah, I was saying
when the tensile strength of the meteorite is exceeded, yeah, it'll disrupt.
All right, Charles, you got another one picked out for us?
Well, I have. Oh gosh, let me show you something I built. Bring this down.
Nice.
About 2-3 years ago, I bought an admired Pallasite from KD folks. And I was over at that same year. I was over at Ann Black's. You may have heard about this. It's kind of fake. I was over at Ann Black's place in Tucson, and she had this beautiful Pallasite. I think it was a what was it? It wasn't an Mbale. It was. Anyway, she has this gorgeous Pallasite. It was about this big. Esquel. I think it was an Esquel.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I looked at it. Now I'm an engineer, retired, but I thought I'd like to backlight the Pallasite I bought. So I got this thing. Okay, that's the it's got glass, so I kind of have to bounce it off. That's the Pallasite. But what I did, I figured out how to backlight it.
Oh baby.
Yeah, it's kind of glaring.
Oh, how sexy.
I mean, and then, so I posted a picture of this online, and she went ballistic on me. Copycat, how dare you? Blah, 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 blah. How dare you?
Ann?
Yeah.
Ann did, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we're sorry, man. Life is hard, isn't it?
We
don't mean to be mean. We really love you.
No, so, 75 people came to my defense. which I really was thankful for. You know, you don't have the rights to that things, and I built it for my own pleasure. I'm not a seller. You know,
It's not a commercial venture. You're not threatened.
Oh my God, did she go
I'll
off?
fund you just for the fun of it if you want.
Oh
there are a lot of people who are protective over their
Yeah.
ideas.
Well, I can see how they would
Yeah.
be. I mean, it's
Touche.
but I just want to see if I can do it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a tinkerer. I like to do things.
It's you know, the sincerest form of
Yeah.
flattery, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
It is.
It's
So
theft.
good.
It's theft, and it's wrong if you were to buy one of hers, re-engineer it, or reverse engineer it, build
Yeah.
your own, and sell them for 10% less.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean?
And
It
there was
actually-
copyright on it.
It actually took me about.
Or a patent.
Well, I'll tell you what. I've been called out as a copycat, as an idea stealer, so many times. Well, the thing is, I have ideas, and then I act.
Yeah, same here.
As a
If I see
fellow
something, I
conscious
think I
knots, can we agree that there's probably not anything new? We're just kind of we're just kind of discovering / remembering stuff
Yeah.
that all exists.
Oh, you know, the thing was, you know, I saw it. I don't, you know, I just got this idea. It took me about 2 weeks to figure out all the engineering and get all the parts in. Another, you know, week or two, I took my time building it. It came out gorgeous. I got a lot of compliments on it.
Beautiful.
You know, I've taken it around to some of the talks to elementary schools, and they just go crazy over this thing.
I'll tell you what. You're nothing new. I've had that idea as well.
Oh yeah.
So, but I want to see the exact hardware and everything you use to mount it, and I that way I won't have to ask Ann.
Okay, no problem.
Because
Yeah, let's see
got
it
most of
again.
it
Though.
right
It's
here.
pretty. I'd love to see it again.
I'll tell you what. If
Yeah.
I was able to reproduce anything close to that quality, I'd be doing cartwheels, and I probably shouldn't do cartwheels
Oh, God.
on my back.
That's a great compliment, Topher. Thank you.
Yeah, it's
No,
beautiful.
Really, the parts itself are maybe $20-30 bucks. You know, I think the
Plus
frame-
meteorite.
Well, plus the meteorite. Well, yeah, there is that.
So 30, 35.
Yeah, but we won't talk about the price of that thing.
Yeah.
No, but you know, I was kind of hesitant to get it admired because it's a known ruster. But the KD folks apparently have a really sophisticated stabilization process. So
They do.
I talked a little bit, and I got comfortable with it. So, and I've had it now for 2 years, and not a speck of rust. And it's on for most of the time, so it keeps warm. You know. So
Further drying it out. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. But I got all kinds of stuff I can show you if you want. I'll show you my biggest rock. It's a Campo, but it's special. I got this from folks over at you know, Jeff Knockins' folks, Aerolite. So if you can see it, this I saw in the case. But what I liked about this is the number of regmalips on it. It's got a pointed nose, and it's got this little tiny tail on it.
It's a bottle opener.
Yeah,
It's a cosmic beer opener.
But this thing is just completely regmalipted.
Man.
It's about a 10-pound rock.
It looks
This is my
really
biggest one.
Sikhote-Alin-ish, actually.
Pardon me?
It looks kind of like Sikhote-Alin a little bit, actually.
Yeah, it does, and that's what struck me. But it's a Campo.
Oh yeah,
I have
definitely.
several Campos, but this one by far.
That is gorgeous, man.
I mean, when I saw it, another guy and I saw this at the same time. And I grabbed it first. That's how fast he was, even at my age. But I mean, it just covered, and it's got this big old divot here on the bottom. I don't know if you can see that.
That is sweet, man.
But,
God.
it just blew my mind. And
How many kilos?
Pardon me?
How many kilos?
Well, the advertised is 3.5, but measured 4.4.
That's a nice surprise.
Even better.
Yeah.
Well, let me show you the other half of that story. Okay, from the same people.
I told you story is important.
Oh yeah.
And keep in mind, these are my friends.
Yeah.
Okay. We're on good terms and nothing. Okay. Anyway, so this is a Taza. Okay. But it had this end cut on it that I really like. It's got the plicated.
Oh, that's pretty.
I don't know if you can see it clearly.
Inclusion.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. Pull back a little bit. Anyway, so this was
There you go.
There you go. This was advertised as 500 and something grams. Came in about 400. So they probably measured it before the end was cut off.
Yeah.
They polished it.
Maybe
So,
they had that on the scale with the Campo.
Kind
this
of
actually-
like just, you know.
I bought this, I think, the first or second year I went to Tucson. It's about 6-7 years ago. And yeah, I was talking to Jeff, and he was at the Hotel City Center that year. And I was telling him I was looking for Taza, and he said, well, I have one in my office, which is right down the street. Come on, let's go. So he pulled it out of his display cabinet. And so we negotiated a little bit, and I got it for a nice price. But when I got home, I was kind of disappointed. It was just, a little over 400 grams, which is still a nice size.
Yeah.
But then when I went back for this, I kind of guilted them into a nice discount. I said, you guys shorted me 100 grams. So they knocked a whole
got
bunch
a double
of money off.
whammy on that one. Nice.
So that's both halves of the story, but they're spread over about 5 years. I have a long memory.
Okay.
Very good memory too.
Yeah, right.
So, but it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed dealing with the guys, and I've met most of the majors. The most fun I had in Tucson about 3 years ago. We just got there. My wife and I drove down from Los Angeles, about an 8-hour drive.
Oh.
So we got there in the afternoon. It was hot and we were tired, so we parked actually got a good spot right in the back of Ed Thompson, ET Meteorites.
Yeah.
So I walked in, my wife's off shopping. I walked in and he goes, want a margarita? so we drank margaritas for about an hour, but all of a sudden,
That's ET.
yeah. All of a sudden, all these guys started walking, all these old timers, Alan Lang and a whole bunch of others started walking out with bottles of tequila. That's this party.
Yeah.
Those guys know how to drink.
Oh yeah, if it's
But,
not fun, why do it?
Oh man! So we went off. I think we shopped a couple of hours and came back. You were still drinking margaritas, so I had another one. So I think that's the year I bought a couple of Serachos off him. Yeah, I think I bought some Serachos from him.
See, I guess his idea is if he spends, $250 buying you a margarita, and can get another $50 out of you on a rock. It's a win-win.
Yeah, way more than $50.
Exactly.
All these old time collectors, the big names, start walking. My jaw dropped.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we're just shooting shit, just having a good old time. So anyway,
ET is.
I remember that exact same experience.
yeah. He's having some chemo.
ET is one of the
right now.
original guys.
Isn't he having some chemo right now?
Yeah. Well, right now, but I would.
Well, he's going through some treatments. Yeah. It's tough.
Yeah.
But nice guy, super nice guy.
And if you want to support Edwin Thompson, ET, you can buy one of his meteorites, but I'd rather you buy from me. No. Or
Of course.
he is a writer.
That.
So let me. Yeah, he is a nice. But hold on. Is yours?
Oh.
Yeah, it says.
It's a hardback. Oh.
Oh.
Hold on. Wait. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Hold on. Let me spotlight you for a second. What does yours say? Oh, hardback is nice, man.
Wait, where is it? Oh.
Fake news. No.
Yeah.
The heavens dump a great huge lunar meteorite at your feet. That's awesome.
All right.
God, yeah. ET rocks. And the thing is, like, seriously, when we were there this past year with the Meteorite Mansion folks, especially Pat Brown, I forget who else, we would just go into his room and sit down.
Yeah.
Like literally we were visiting Grandpa.
Yeah.
And we were just listening to him tell us stories. Like, this is Mr. NWA. He's the one who opened up NWA for meteorites to coming to America.
Wow.
Big time.
The one who taught the Berbers how to recognize a meteorite.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is one of the old school guys.
Yeah. I met his son and a few other guys there, and just spent a couple hours with the guy. He was really interesting to talk to.
Yeah. He's a fantastic guy, and I hope we have him around for a lot more years and a lot more Tucsons. We are getting a little bit long in the tooth right now, but I'll tell you what, I do want to ask Kyle to show something because I have seen him get set up. So unless anyone has anything super awesome special after this, we're going to say our goodbyes.
Okay, I'm good.
Oh, is this? Oh my God! Please tell me I think I know what I'm looking at. Is that is that the high metal yielding Winonite?
I think he's on mute.
Kyle, you're on mute.
Yeah, it is, guys. It is the Winonite, and unfortunately, my phone doesn't want to focus. But man, it looks way better.
We can see
Here.
And who did that? Where did that come from?
That you asked in Dustin, you know.
I just was fishing for his name. I just wanted to say because I love him so much. Mustapha, brother.
Yeah.
What's up?
That's my man.
Mr. Ulkuch.
I also bought that Eucrite today, Topher.
Oh, nice. That was a big one, dude. That was a 300-gram Eucrite, and he was calling it rare. I don't know what he means by rare. I hope that there's something more behind that.
Yeah, but
you got a good deal on it, though.
Yeah, no. He's my man over there. I have to tell him every once in a while, hey, there's 25 Moroccans calling me and you're not calling me. Who do you want to spend my money?
Nice.
That's
you know why? It's because he doesn't live for the money, and he actually goes out and spends weeks in the desert, and feeds his mind.
No, and honestly, me and him have become very good friends. We call and we talk about bees and just general life stuff, not always meteorites. And thank you, Dustin, for your somewhat introduction or backing there.
Yeah, well, hey, it's friends. You got to share friends. He's just one of my best friends, and when you got a good friend that you know is a good person, you just gotta like.
Well, we started talking.
No, it's like that's how it works, and that he happens to have crazy awesome meteorites is just
right. Well, and man, he's got some things right now that are kind of mind-boggling.
Oh yeah, you've upped your game, Mustapha.
Definitely does, man.
That is awesome. Yeah, well, my first classified meteorite was found by Mufasa, so pretty cool stuff.
But I'm getting all kinds of things from Morocco now. Mustapha, what's his last name?
Ulkuch. Oulkouch.
Okay.
Like OU and then L and then Kouch. Ulkuch.
Yeah, I've been getting lots of offers. I just I always say, well, thank you. Tell me about it. And they said, well, I'm not ready yet. So I was going to get with you guys before.
A little overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah, but it's an overwhelming in a not too bad way right now. So
yeah.
Hey, Topher,
yep.
If you put me back on cam for just 1 second, I wanted to show Michael Kelly something a couple weeks ago, and I told him I'd show him last week, and I showed up with 2 minutes left.
I was going to ask, did you end up with any other type?
See that ametite over there?
Yeah.
And then that's a 50,000-year-old fossilized bison skull.
Wow.
And let me come over here and show you this other one right quick.
Awesome.
And these are all from Lake Texoma. Can you see that, guys?
Wow. Did you find those?
Did you find those?
Yeah, I dug those up
Wow.
as a young man.
Wow,
And,
they're so cool.
But anyhow, I told Michael where to find those, and he went and actually got him some good ones.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, that's all I really had to show there.
That was cool. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Hey, well, everyone, I totally appreciate everyone's interactions and participation. It was really awesome having everyone on. Special thanks to Dustin for coming back twice for your your 2 scheduled talks. Really appreciate everyone's time. Hope everyone has a great evening. And if you have any questions or want to buy any meteorites, hit me up. Have a great night, everyone. Thanks a lot.
Guys.
Yeah.
Guys.
Thank you.
See you.
You got a
Thanks,
sale
everybody.
right now. On your
Bye.
check your DM.
All right. Thanks, guys. Oh, and remember, I have Mbale if you need it.
You've got a sale on the DM if you check.
There you go.
Thanks, everybody.
And it will cure your age, too.
All right, that
Have
was
fun, guys.
That's
Bye-bye.
good to know. Thanks.
Later.